Let me just clear up this Australian gun buyback business, because this is like you're watching a parade and you jump in front of the parade and take credit for it. Yes, 20 years ago, Australia did have a gun buyback program. They had a mass killing 25 years ago. Canada did too. And they banned semi-automatic and self-loading rifles, as well as self-loading and pump-action shotguns. Government offered a year grace period, during which time it would buy back the banned firearms at what were called preset market value prices, financed by a tax on health insurance. After that, people possessing the banned weapons would be subject to strict penalties, including being thrown in jail. Now, the question is, did the gun buyback program reduce gun crime? Well, you know, we've interviewed John Lott about that, the head of the Crime Prevention Research Center. Here's what he said, and I'm quoting him. Their firearms homicide rate, had been falling for a decade prior to the gun buyback. It also continued falling at the same rate after the buyback. There was no sudden drop, just a fairly constant decline that continued even after gun ownership rose back up to previous levels. The armed robbery rate rose in the first 5 years after the gun buyback. After 10 years, the rate had fallen back to pre-buyback levels as the gun ownership rose back to previous levels. Capiche? It didn't do anything that they thought it would do. Furthermore, the armed robbery rate rose in the first 5 years after the gun buyback. Nevertheless, it is what Hillary often brags about.
The Australian government, as part of trying to clamp down on the availability of automatic weapons, offered a good price for buying hundreds of thousands of guns, and then they basically clamped down going forward. I think it would be worth considering doing it on the national level if that could be arranged.
Quote, "What, sir, is the use of the militia? It is to prevent the establishment of a standing army, the bane of liberty. Whenever governments mean to invade the rights and liberties of the people, they always attempt to destroy the militia in order to raise an army upon their ruins." Representative Elbridge Gerry of Massachusetts, one of the founding fathers. Alexander Hamilton, quote, "For it is a truth which the experience of ages has attested, that the people are always most in danger when the means of injuring their rights are in the possession of those whom they entertain the least suspicion." End of quote. This is from Samuel Adams. Quote, "The Constitution shall never be construed to prevent the people of the United States who are peaceable citizens from keeping their arms." End of quote. On and on and on. Guard with jealous attention the public liberty. Suspect everyone who approaches that jewel. Unfortunately, nothing will preserve it but downright force. Whenever you give up force, you are ruined. The great object is that every man be armed. Everyone who is able must have a gun. End of quote. Patrick Henry. But of course, Larry King was probably there at the time and heard some conversations that suggested that maybe those gentlemen were giving a public presentation but had a private reservation about guns, because clearly he knows a lot more about it than these guys know, the founding fathers. 888-971-SAGE. The two officers in connection with the shooting death of Alton Sterling, one's been fired, another one has been suspended. And the women accusers of Bill Clinton have spoken. I'm Larry Elder.
Hi, I'm in Love Park, Illinois, and we love Marlon Bundle. We love Marlon Bundle.
Yeah, the way to solve the school shooting problem is simple. You just take away the guns. We don't want to do that as a society, and so consequently the shootings will continue. It's a trade-off. It's not a complicated problem. It's a simple problem other countries have solved. We solved it our way. Australia solved it their way. They decided to get rid of guns and stop the shootings, and we decided to keep them and keep the shootings. That's it.
Hey, Larry, love the show. I just wanted to comment. If there were teachers armed with guns and there was a shooting at a school, let's say, and another teacher comes out with the firearm and sees another teacher in the hallway with the firearm, it could be total chaos because you see a teacher in the hallway holding a gun, you don't know if it's the shooter or if it's the good guy. That's all I wanted to say, Larry. Great show. Thank you.
Yeah, militia. The term militia in the Second Amendment refers to a bunch of armed citizens. It does not refer to a bunch of armed sheriff's deputies.
Yes, my name is Stan, Southern California here, small business owner, listen all the time. Anyway, I want to throw my 2 cents worth in. This last weekend, looking at all the protests worldwide, especially places like Paris, France, protesting, I guess, the violent crime rate going up and up and up in Paris, a place where nobody gets to carry a gun. Possession of a firearm is very, very limited, very, very regulated. To possess a firearm, even in your own home, you have to get a special permit, from what I understand. So to me, this just shows proof that taking away everybody's guns does not lower the crime rate. The bad guys still get guns, especially with the open borders situation that Europe has. The last couple attacks in Paris, people coming from Belgium, sliding on through, blowing things up, doing everything they do. Anyway, just my observation. Love your show.
888-971-SAGE, 888-971-7243. But Larry King says the Second Amendment was poorly written.